You probably heard we had major economic news this morning, CPI inflation. But more importantly, you may be wondering, what does this mean for the price of my silver, the price of my gold, the price of my platinum? Are we at the edge? Are we standing at the precipice of major change for the price of the precious metals? $2,600 gold in 2024. Is that a reality? And does the information that we receive today, and as we read and analyze how the precious metals markets reacted today, tell us that we are right on the edge of major change for the metals? I want you to think about something for just a second. Over the past 2 years, anytime we had a surprise uptick in inflation, what did that do to the price of the precious metals? Yes, we saw gold plummet, silver go down, and platinum, well, it didn't do too well either. However, what can we observe that's a big change about what happened today when we also received surprise higher inflation numbers, much higher than were expected? We would have expected, if things had played out like they had over the last 2 years, we would have anticipated a large fall in the price of the precious metals. But did that happen? No. It didn't happen. Is that a big sign for things to come? I happen to think that it is. I'll be curious to hear what you think. Leave a comment in the comment section below. And while I have your attention, I'll put out a new piece of content every day for the rest of my life. Please give this a thumbs up. That really helps get the news out to more people. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So today, we get horrible inflation numbers and no reaction in the gold price, or a very muted reaction. Let's talk about why that's such a big deal. Look, guys, in the past couple years, high inflation numbers plummeted the metals prices because that meant that the Fed was going to be more aggressive with their monetary policy. But what changed today? Well, there's a new awareness, a paradigm shift, if you will, that I believe is in its infant stages, where people are realizing inflation, I got news for you, it's here to stay. But the big difference is the market is now starting to realize that the Fed doesn't have much more room with which to fight inflation. They've shot all their bullets, if you will. The fastest rate of interest rate hikes in the history of the country over the last 16, 17 months. We've got a banking system on life support. The consumer in the United States that makes up 70% of the economy, I think it's safe to say they're also on life support. Do you know that the American average household has like zero savings left, record high credit card debt? Things are not in a situation where the Fed can get much more aggressive with monetary policy, but there's this inflation problem. Guys, that spells a stagflation situation or an inflationary recession, 6 or 1/2 dozen the other. They're the same thing. But it's a situation where we're going to be led into an environment with negative real interest rates. Whether you want to say stagflation, recessionary inflation, or negative real interest rates, all of those environments are super conducive. The most fertile soil you can ask for to grow the precious metals prices. If you're looking to buy gold, silver, or platinum, do yourself a favor and check out Pimbex, the online precious metals bullion dealer and sponsor of Ron's Basement. I was a happy customer before they offered to support the channel. You'll find they have the best prices, quality, and service. I think Pimbex is best, and you will too. And be sure to tell them that you're from Ron's Basement. Now look, it's going to take a little while for the herd to catch on to what you and I already know. We've been talking about this for months and months and months. But as a few people join us and then more people join us and realize that silver and gold and platinum, yes, they've served a very important purpose over thousands of years. That purpose would be maintaining value. And as people wake up and start to realize that, hey, you know what? Bonds aren't going to be that great of a deal because they're not going to be keeping up with inflation. Real estate doesn't look too good right now. In the stock market, because of recession and the higher interest rates, companies aren't making as much profit. The menu, imagine you go to a restaurant and they show you the menu and, all those things are scratched off, but the only thing left on the menu that looks any good are precious metals. Now, we've talked about this ad nauseum, but it's so important for us to review. Realize that right now, if you have some of your money invested into precious metals, you are just a sliver of a sliver of a sliver of the population. It's only going to take a few more people joining us to overwhelm the physical market for the metals. Just a small uptick in the percentage of people in the general population who decide to join the smart precious metals investors could mean extraordinary gains in the price of silver, gold, and platinum. Now, look, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm just sharing with you my story, the way I see it, my thesis. It's important that you do your own work, that you dig in on your own, see what you see. But when I look at the situation as a whole, that's what I see playing out. The Fed is in a new territory. Inflation, but they can't really fight it because raising rates further could have devastating consequences on the banking system, on the consumer, on the economy as a whole. And we already know that economies throughout the world are struggling. We know that in Europe, many of the major economies, including Germany, is in a recession. We know that China is also struggling, sputtering, however you want to say it. And we know that China is the second largest economy in the world. Boy, the next 6 months to a year, it's going to be super interesting to see how this plays out. I look forward to joining you on the journey, right? None of us knows for sure what will happen, but what we all have is a little flashlight, right? That's our ability as we walk down this path, shine our flashlight, see what we see, share it with each other, do our best to protect ourselves. That's why we join together here in Ron's Basement. I'm so glad you joined me. I talked a little more detail regarding the subject of this video in today's live stream. Today is September 13th of 2023. We'll put a link up here at the end of the video where if you like, you can go watch the entire extended live stream version of what we talked about today. Most important, be well, and I'll see you soon.